See, we're starting now with a new topic in maths, that is ratio and proportion. Now in ratio and proportion, page 205 in your Anish tutorial textbook is not there in your syllabus. That is compounded ratio, duplicate ratio, triplicate ratio, subduplicate ratio, subtriplicate, reciprocal. These terms are not there any longer in your syllabus. So page 205 and the very topmost part of page 206 where reciprocal ratio is given, that is not there. So that page you can delete it, strike it out from your Anish tutorial maths textbook. So now we start with this topic, comparison of ratios. Now let's say you have been given A upon B is C upon D, A upon B greater than C upon D. When you cross multiply, AD will be greater than BC. So you can use this to find which is a bigger ratio. We will do the sums, so then you will come to know. If AD is greater than BC, that means A upon B is greater than C upon D. We generally use it converse. That is, if A into D is greater than B into C, that means A upon B is greater than C upon D. Similarly, the other sign, if A upon B is less than C upon D, then it would mean that AD is less than BC. And last we have if A upon B and C upon D are equal, that would mean AD is equal to BC. Now proportion. If you have four terms A, B, C and D are in proportion, it would mean that A upon B is equal to C upon D. So you have to read the heading properly. If the sum says terms A, B, C and D are in proportion, it means A upon B is equal to C upon D. Now generally this sort of a sum would come when you have to prove some LHS is equal to some RHS. So when you have to prove LHS equal to RHS, and if the sum says that A, B, C and D are in proportion, then you will have to write A by B is equal to C by D is equal to K. We take K as a constant term. So then we can take A by B is equal to K and write A is equal to BK. And C by D is equal to K separately we can say, and we can write C is equal to DK. So from that, A is equal to BK and C is equal to DK. These two terms we will substitute. In the LHS and RHS, wherever A and C comes, we will substitute A is equal to BK and C is equal to DK. We will substitute that and we have to simplify that further and then prove that LHS is equal to RHS. So remember, if the word only proportion is there, then that means A by B is equal to C by D. We take it as K and write A is equal to BK and C is equal to DK. And then we substitute wherever we have A. Instead of A, we will write BK, and instead of C, we will write DK in the LHS and RHS, and then prove LHS equal to RHS by further factorizing and simplifying. So those sort of sums would be there. There is another sort of sum in which you may be given that the terms A, B, C, D are in continued proportion. If the word continued proportion is there, then we won't write it like this. We will see in the next frame how we will write if we get the words A, B, C and D are in continued proportion and not just proportion. Now let's see what is meant by continued proportion. If A, B, C and D are in continued proportion, it means A upon B is B upon C is equal to C upon D, and that we can take it as K. So now here see the difference between continued proportion and just proportion. If it was just proportion, you would have written it as A upon B is C upon D, and that is equal to K. That is what you wrote in the last frame. But now it is not written this way. It is written A upon B is equal to B upon C. So the denominator in the first ratio will be the numerator of the second ratio. Similarly, denominator of second ratio will be numerator of third ratio, and so on. So that's how it goes. This is when it is given that the terms are in continued proportion. So then this was, earlier it was only proportion, now the word continued proportion is given. So in this case you have to follow it this way. A upon B is equal to B upon C is equal to C upon D is K. First denominator, second numerator. Second denominator will be third numerator, and so on. Therefore you can write, we start from the end, we write C upon D is equal to K, or C is dk. So this is used in sums where you are asked to prove LHS is equal to RHS and you are given A, B, C, D are terms which are in continued proportion. So C upon D is equal to K, or C is equal to dk, that we call it as equation 1. Then we can take B upon C is equal to K. So B is Ck. But you already know C is dk, so we write instead of C dk from equation 1. So that this becomes D into K, that is dk squared. So B becomes dk squared. Of course, this will be more practical when we actually do the sums. That we will do on some sums here and some sums will be done on Zoom. So B is equal to dk squared. Then you have one more term left, that is A upon B is equal to K. So A is equal to bk. So you will get A is equal to bk, and substituting B is dk squared from equation number 2, we will get A is equal to dk squared into K, that is dk cube. So from these three equations you will see that you have replaced A, B and C and written everything in terms of D and K. So first you wrote C is dk, B is dk squared and A is dk cube. So wherever you have A, B and C in that expression, we will replace the A, B and C and write dk cube, dk squared and dk, and then we factorize and simplify the equation till we prove LHS is equal to RHS. So that is how those sums are solved when you are given four terms A, B, C, D are in continued proportion. Now there is one more thing that you need to know before we actually start with the sums. Geometric mean or mean proportional. Now if three terms A, B, C are in continued proportion, only three terms. Here it was four terms. Here three terms A, B, C are in continued proportion, it would mean A upon B is B upon C, that is B squared is equal to AC. So now if B squared is equal to AC, it would mean that B is called the mean proportional or geometric mean between A and C. B squared is equal to AC will mean that B is the mean proportional or geometric mean between A and C. So this is how you would solve a sum if it is given that B squared is equal to AC. That would mean that B is geometric mean or mean proportional between A and C. Or other way, if you are just given B is geometric mean of A and C or mean proportional to A and C, we can directly use B squared is equal to AC. So now with this we will start with the numericals which are given in our Anish tutorial book. Some of them we will do here and some of them, to understand them fully, we will do it in the Zoom session. These are general, very basic sums. Usually in this chapter your sums are sums based on either continued proportion or proportion, or you have sums based on the invertendo, alternando. Those are properties of proportion we will see later. These sort of sums are generally not asked, very rarely asked, once in a while. So, but we are doing few sums just so that you know the basics. The ratio given in the first sum is 1:5. So obviously if the ratio is 1:5, you will have to take x as common multiple, because I told you this can be 2 upon 10. Still the ratio is 1:5. It can be 10 upon 50. The sides may be actually 10 upon 50. Still the ratio is 1:5. So here the numbers we will take is 1x and 5x, where x is common multiple. So the sum is 6x. So 6x, the sum of the ratios is given 540. The total amount 540 has to be divided. So 540 upon 6 is 90. So we have got the common multiple as 90. So the first part is 1x, that is rupees 90, and the second part is 5x, which is rupees 450. So that's how you do the first term after finding what is the common multiple. Now you are asked comparison. Here comparison of ratios. Here basically you have got 6 upon 7 and 7 upon 15. You have to compare. Looking at this, we don't know which is smaller and which is bigger. But the easy way is just cross multiply and the sign remains. For example, 6 into 50 is 90 and 7 into 7 is 49. 90 is greater than 49, which means 6 upon 7 is greater than 7 upon 15. This is the simplest way to compare, because multiplication generally we can't do it mentally 6 upon 7 and 7 upon 15 and write it. But this is the most simple way by just doing cross multiplication. Similarly, 5 is to 9 and 2 is to 3. When we cross multiply, you get 15 and 18. 18 is greater than 15, so 2 is to 3 will be greater than 5 is to 9. Now the next is ratio is 2 is to 11. In the second sum, they are given you the ratio is 2 is to 11. So the parts are 2x and 11x, where x is common multiple. But you are given that the second part is 9.9 kg. That means 11x is 9.9 kg, which means that x is 9.9 upon 11 or 0.9. So again, what we did like here, we found what is the common multiple. And then based on that, we can say that the first part is 2x, that is 2 into 0.9, which is 1.8 kg. So that's how you did the first two sums. So now you are in the third sum given three ratios and asked to compare it. So obviously we will have to take two at a time. First we take 6 upon 7 and 9 upon 8. Compare means we have to write them in the ascending or descending order. So 6 upon 7 and 9 by 8 cross multiply, 48 is less than 63. So 6 upon 7 is less than 9 is to 8. So that is the first equation. Then we compare 9 by 8 and 14 by 15. So again here when we cross multiply we will get 135, and that is greater than 112. So therefore 9 is to 8 is greater than 14 is to 15. So from 1 and 2 we are getting 9 is to 8 is greater than 6 is to 7, and 9 is to 8 is greater than 14 is to 15. So from this we can say that 9 upon 8 is the biggest of the three ratios. One thing we know for confirmation, that 9 upon 8 is the biggest ratio. Then we have to compare 6 is to 7 and 14 is to 15. So as to know which is the smallest one. So 6 upon 7 and 14 upon 15, when we cross multiply, we will get 90 is less than 98. So 6 is to 7 is less than 14 is to 15. From that equation 3 and 4, we can say that 6 is to 7 is smallest, next is 14 is to 15, and 9 is to 8 is the biggest ratio. So next sum, question number 4, we have A is to B is 5 is to 4, and we are given B is to C is 6 is to 7. Now if you want to compare A is to B is to C, you have to make these two terms same. In order to make these two terms same, I can multiply and divide the equation 1 right hand side by 3. So it will become 14 is to 12. And in order to make this also 12 like this, I will have to multiply and divide this ratio by 2. So this becomes 12 is to 14. Now because B, in left hand side it is B and right hand side it is 12, we can write that A is to B is to C continuously. If you write it, you will get that is 15 is to 12 is to 14. Because we have made B same number even on the RHS. So you can say it is 15 is to 12 is to 14. So now if you are asked only A is to C, then we can ignore the B which is in between, and we can write A is to C is 15 is to 14. These are sort of sums which are never asked in the exam. So you can copy all this down. We will continue and do few more sums before we start the sums on Zoom. 209, question number 5, which is the next classwork sum. See, generally from a long time questions like this are not asked in the boards. Earlier on it used to be asked, but it's simple. When you are given this sort of ratios, left hand side and right hand side, and given that it is equal, and you are asked to find what is the actual value of the ratio. What is this ratio equal to? Numerical value. Or what is this ratio equal to? Numerical value. So then in that case you cross multiply. Once you cross multiply x with 3x plus y, you will get 3x squared plus xy. And the other side you will get 8xy plus 6y squared. Now you make it in the form of a equation equal to 0. So then the middle term you have to split and factorize it. Why are we doing this? See, here there are two variables. But had the numerator and denominator both been in terms of the same variable x or y, then that x would get cancelled and you would have got what is the value of this ratio. So here, after factorizing, we are splitting minus 7x as minus 9x plus 2x. This is the same factorization which you did in standard 9. Here what is happening? You are getting the product as minus 18 and the sum as minus 7xy. So when you pair the first two terms and the third and the fourth term separately, you can factorize by taking 3x common in the first bracket and 2y common in the second pair of terms. So you get 3x plus 2y and x minus 3y equal to 0. So 3x plus 2y is 0 or x minus 3y is equal to 0. So x is equal to minus 2y by 3 or x is equal to 3y. Now in this equation, in this first equation, which is the given equation, we will substitute x is equal to minus 2y by 3. Whether you want to take this or this is your choice, because it doesn't make any difference. Finally, that is equal. It is already given that this and this is equal. So whether you substitute x is equal to minus 2y by 3 on the left hand side or on the right hand side, you are going to get the same answer. The answer is not going to change. So once you shift and substitute x is equal to minus 2y by 3 in the left hand side, we are getting the answer as minus 2, because you will get minus 2y by 3, and here also you have substituted for x. Then you have taken the common factor, that is you have cross multiplied and made this 9y upon, the entire thing is upon 3, so 3 will get cancelled, and then finally minus 2y upon y will get cancelled, so the answer will be minus 2. Now second case, x is equal to 3y, that's the second case you had got when you did the factorization. That also you can substitute either here or here, doesn't matter. Whether you substitute on the LHS or RHS, this equal to means the answer will come same. So when you substitute x is equal to 3y in the left hand side, you are getting 1 upon 5. So this means that the value of this ratio, the value of the ratio is minus 2 or 1 by 5. That's how you will solve this fifth sum. See, main thing is from sum number 9 onwards, all the sums till the end are very, very important. So those sums are based on proportion or properties of ratios. That is, you will have invertendo, componendo, dividendo. Those are the most important sums. So from sum number 9, in fact, some of the subparts of sum number 8, they are very, very important. Similar to this, we have sum number 6 and 7, which we will do now. It is given a by 5 is equal to b upon 2 is equal to 7a minus 3b upon k. So first, as I told you, we will write a in terms of b. So we can write a is 5b by 2. And then we take everything of this from equation 1, that is, we will take a by 5 is equal to 7a minus 3b by k in order to find k. We could also have taken b by 2 is equal to 7a minus 3b by k, and what we are going to do is we are going to substitute wherever there is a in the equation, we will get rid of a and write it in terms of b. So these two a's here I will write 5b by 2. So it becomes 5b by 2 the whole thing upon 5. So therefore, on the other side also it becomes 7 times 5b by 2 minus 3b upon k. So now this becomes 5b upon 10. 2 into 5, that is 10. And this becomes 35b. I have taken the LCM of the numerator. So minus 6b upon 2, the whole thing upon k. So this is whole thing upon 2. So now it will become 2k in the denominator and 29b in the numerator. So now here b, I will just cross multiply. I will remove, I have to write what is the value of k. So I am getting k on this side and all the other terms, that is b on the denominator and 2 on the numerator. So it will become 29b upon 2b into 2. So k will come out to be 29. Now the next sum also, question 7. You have got a upon b is 7 upon 8. So finally we write a in terms of b. And in this expression, which is the given expression, we have to find this value. So here we substitute for a. We write 6 into 7b by 8 and denominator also 6 into 7b by 8. So this becomes 21b upon 4 and that can be written as 2b upon 4 because I am taking common LCM, 4 and 2, the LCM is 2. So I will write this as 2b upon 4. And here it is 21b plus 2b upon 4. So 4 and 4 gets cancelled, you get 19b upon 23. b gets cut, so it is 19 upon 23. So this is how you will solve the 6th and the 7th question. Now 8th question onwards, those are important questions for you. We will do the 8th sum and few of the sums of compounded ratio and the ratios are in proportion or in continued proportion. The rest of them we will be doing it on Zoom. Now in the 8th question, first part, these are important questions. Questions like this are asked. So from here actually the exact important sums start. So we have given that you need to find what is the geometric mean. Another word for geometric mean is mean proportional between these two terms. So now we have that if you have b is geometric mean of a and c, then that means b squared is equal to ac. This you have learned. If b is the geometric mean of a and c, then b squared is equal to ac. So therefore, let's assume that x is the geometric mean of these two terms. That would mean that x squared is equal to these two terms multiplication. So now here you will have to use a bit of your factorization and expansions formula. A squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b, into the second term as it is a plus b upon a minus b. A minus b gets cut. So you are left with x squared is equal to a plus b the whole squared. Now taking square root, you will get x is equal to a plus b. And what is x? X is the geometric mean. So the geometric mean is a plus b. Now in the next question you are asked to find what is the value of the ratio x upon y. You are given 15x squared plus 15y squared minus 34xy is 0. When you see this, you have to write 34xy minus 34xy at the center and split it in such a manner that on addition of those two terms you will get minus 34xy, and on multiplication of these two terms you get 15 into 15 x squared y squared. So that is why it has been split as minus 25xy and minus 9xy. The addition gives you minus 34xy and multiplication will give you plus 225x squared y squared. So then we take it in pairs. The first two terms, the third and the fourth term. The first two terms 5x is common, so 3x in minus 5y, and there 3y is common, so again 3x minus 5y. So you can take 3x minus 5y out and 5x minus 3y and 3x minus 5y. That is equal to 0. So either of the brackets could be 0. So you will get 5x minus 3y is 0 means x is equal to x upon y is 3 upon 5. and there you get 3x is 5y, so x upon y is 5 upon 3. So it could have these two possibilities. X upon y could be either 3 upon 5 or it could be 5 upon 3. We go on to the third, fourth part of this particular question number 8. See, never you will be asked this question 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as one sum. It is actually 5 different sums. In the third part, the fourth proportional. So the first term is the first proportional, second term is second proportional, third term is third proportional, and fourth term is fourth proportional. So when it's just given that fourth proportional, that means all the four terms are in proportion. The word continued is not there, it is just proportion. So here you have x raised to 4 plus x squared plus 1 upon, that's the first proportional, upon the second proportional x squared plus x plus 1. That is equal to the third proportional x squared minus x plus 1, and we have taken, let the fourth proportional be y. We can't write x because already in this equation there is already x is used. So we have to take y or a or anything, any other alphabet. So now we will keep only y on one side and cross multiply and find what this simplifies to. So first, when you multiply these two terms, each of the terms of the first bracket should be multiplied with the second bracket. So it becomes x squared into all these terms plus x into all the three terms plus 1 into all the three terms upon the denominator will be the first proportional, that is x raised to 4 plus x squared plus 1. When you open the bracket and simplify, you will get only x raised to 4 plus x squared plus 1 in the numerator also, because many of the terms like x minus x cube plus x cube, it gets cancelled. Then x squared and minus x squared gets cancelled. Then you have plus x and minus x which gets cancelled. So you are left in the numerator with x raised to 4 plus x squared plus 1. And the denominator is identical, it's exactly the same as the numerator. So the ratio will be 1. That means y is equal to 1. Hence the fourth proportional is 1. So fourth proportional means 4 terms in proportion. What is the fourth term? Now you have the fourth part, which is the last part of the eighth sum. In this, you are given that 3, x, y, z and 48 are in continued proportion. Mark this sum as important. So you have 5 terms given that they are in continued proportion, and here you are not asked to prove LHS is equal to RHS. In LHS is equal to RHS, I had given you, when I gave you the formula in the start, that you have to write that is equal to k and then write something in terms of k. But this is not that. You are just asked to find x, y and z. So now here, since they are in continued proportion, the first denominator will become the second numerator. Second denominator will become the third numerator. Third denominator will become the fourth numerator, and so on. So 3 upon x is equal to x upon y is equal to y upon z is equal to z upon 48. So this is because they are in continued proportion. So now I am taking only the first and the last term of equation 1. They are equal. All the ratios are equal. So 3 upon x is z upon 48, or when I cross multiply, I get x into z is 48 into 3, which is 144. So this I call it as my second expression. Also from this, I will get xz is y squared. So I am getting x into z is y squared. So I am going to substitute instead of xz in equation 2 y squared. So I get y squared is 144. Y squared is 144. So actually y should be plus minus 12. But when I solve the sum further, but I have only written 12 and I have put an asterisk there because the explanation is given down. You can write the explanation here also. So now, why am I only taking plus 12? Because when I use this part to find what is the value of x, I will get 3 upon x is x upon y, and if I substitute y is equal to minus 12, then I will get x squared is equal to root of minus 36. And root of negative numbers are imaginary, so that is not possible. So that's why I've written only plus y is taken since square root of negative number is imaginary. So that is why you cannot take minus 12. There is a reason, then the reason is mentioned there. You can write the reason here. So therefore we are taking only the positive value of y, and in the sum we will consider only positive values. So now you get x squared is equal to 36, so x we will only take it as 6 and not plus minus 6. Same reason. Now from this expression 2, once you find x, you can easily find what is z. So we substitute x is 6 because we have just found x is 6. So x into z is 144. So z is equal to 144 upon 6, which is 24. Z is 24. So that's how you will solve sum number 4. Now I'll do 8th ka 4th part, that is. I'll do one more sum that is based on proportion and where we are using the K method. That is the next sum, that is question 9. And the remaining sums of proportion, continued proportion, we will do in the Zoom class. Yes, there is one more part of ratio proportion where you are using properties of proportion, and that's very important. That is componendo, dividendo, and sums based on componendo, dividendo, alternando, and invertendo. So that part I will be sending it in a separate video. That would be a second video. So now I'll do one more sum, that is question number 9. So now a typical sum of proportion. You are given that A, B, C, D are in proportion, no continued proportion like the previous sum. So because it is just proportion, you will have A upon B is C upon D, and we write that is equal to K. Why K? Because this is a typical sum where you are asked to prove LHS equal to RHS. So for all those sums, we are going to use the K method. You can solve without K also, but I will not be teaching you that method because this is the most simple method. And it is easy to substitute and get the values. We have seen that in all sums. So when you have to prove LHS equal to RHS, use the K method. So C upon D is equal to K, so C is equal to DK. That is equation 1. Same way, A upon B is equal to K, so you will get A is equal to VK. So that is equation 2. Now wherever you will come across C and A, we will write C is equal to dk and A is equal to Vk in a given expression. So the left hand side of the expression is B upon A. And you need to prove the left hand side is equal to this right hand side, which is B squared plus D squared upon A squared plus C squared. So we are taking the left hand side individually separately. So now here B remains as it is because we are going to substitute only for A and C. So instead of A, I write dk. So B and B gets cut, it becomes 1 upon K. So that is from your equation number 2, we got A is equal to Bk. So we got left hand side is 1 upon K. Now we have to prove right hand side also is equal to 1 upon K. So right hand side is root of under root of B squared plus D squared upon A squared plus C squared. So substituting for A and C only. B and D will remain as it is. You are not going to do any substitution for that. So A squared will become B squared K squared and C squared will become D squared K squared. This is from 1 and 2. So now I take K squared common out. Inside the bracket you will get B squared plus D squared. So B squared plus D squared gets cut. You will get root of 1 upon K squared. So that becomes 1 upon K. So from this 3 and 4, you can see that the LHS and RHS is exactly same. So from 3 and 4, LHS is equal to RHS, hence proved. So this is how you will do a sum when it is given, it is in proportion. Now, some of the sums that is there in classwork and homework, which are based on this proportion and continued proportion, I will be doing it with you directly in our Zoom class. So that there, wherever, once you see all these videos, when we do it together, you will come across some doubts. So that all will be solved during the Zoom session next week, whenever we do ratio and proportion. Bye students, take care.